Hey there, I'm Krista Lindstrom and welcome to Krista's Mortgage Minute. This is our third and final week of reviewing the recent mortgage policy changes. I'm going to share with you what the change is, how it impacts you, and my opinion on it. So the rule change that the government announced is that there's no stress test on conventional mortgages. And my response to that, it's about damn time. So what does that mean? So if you purchased your home with less than 20% down payment, that means that you did not pay the CMHC premium. So what used to happen is when your mortgage came up for renewal, you either had to do one of two things. You could stay with your existing lender and not have to stress test. You could just sign your renewal agreement, or you can move to a new lender, but you would have to stress test. So that means that you have to qualify 2% higher than what you're actually paying. This is absolutely ridiculous. And the reason it's ridiculous is because there's no change in money. There isn't one penny more money borrowed, but yet they were making consumers stress test for it. So it's about high time that they got rid of the stress test. Earlier this year, they removed the stress test for insured mortgages, and now finally they're removing the stress test for conventional mortgages, so which is absolutely fantastic because that means when you have a mortgage coming up for renewal, you don't have to qualify 2% higher regardless what type of mortgage that you have. Let's also remember that a lot of people who bought their homes conventionally bought them prior to 2016, which means they qualify for their home without a stress test because the stress test came into place in 2016. So they qualified to buy their home without a stress test, and now because they want to switch to a new lender and maybe get a competitive rate, they had to stress test? That's absolutely ridiculous. Thank you, federal government, for making this change. It's a way for Canadians to get better pricing on their mortgage renewals without being trapped at their existing lender. I listen to this podcast every week called The Loonie Hour, and I absolutely love it. It's a Canadian finance podcast, and I've been following it for quite some time. And the gentlemen who run it, I find them to be very accurate and very knowledgeable. They all have different expertise in different areas. And they talk about this widely known rumor within the mortgage industry that when OFSI, basically the federal government, wanted to implement the stress test, the banks did not want a stress test. So what they said is, okay, fine. You can put a stress test in for people that are purchasing a home, but then you also have to stress test them when you want to leave us. So this backdoor agreement became highly profitable to the banks because now it became difficult for a borrower to leave, and lenders didn't necessarily have to be competitive on interest rates at renewal because they had to stress test to leave. So now that this is gone, this is going to force a competitive marketplace, and we all know that with competition, interest rates get better. So this can't be anything but good for the Canadian consumer. So the message here is there's an opportunity to save money when you have a mortgage renewal. So one of the services that we provide here at Mortgage Simple is a honest evaluation of your renewal. So send us a copy of the renewal agreement that your bank gave you, and we will review it. And we will tell you one of two things. That's a great rate, sign your renewal, as in you can't do better anywhere else. Or, hey, that's not a great rate. Do you want to do the transfer program and move to a new lender free of charge? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Have a great week.